Ladies and gentlemen, I think yes, I think in the last 5 years, MOOCs has been quite fancy forums, topics in any education forums, in particular in open educations. And I think I would like to share some of the development about the MOOCs, and especially to answer about the where we are now. The structure of my presentation will be elaborating of the MOOCs phenomenon that is currently going on, and what is the CMOOCs and the XMOOCs. I think you probably have familiar with these two kind of MOOCs that's offering now, and what is the alternative on the future, because CMOOCs and XMOOCs is quite different pedagogy that we may approaching on if we are using about the classical university pedagogies, and there are another we call as alternative. And the next will be the impacts of the higher educations. If already been about 1,200 courses, I mean what is quality of the courses. So what the university will do next. And the last will be the way forward. Starting from the reasons of the university providers on offering MOOCs, then most of the university, I think the reasons will be extending the reach and outreach or the access, and some of them as building and maintaining a brand. But do we have an important answer about the access and the reach? And I think we are going to talk later on. If we talking about MOOCs, then actually it's starting from the initial initiative from the open education movement. So ODL, open and distance learning, will be part of the how we fostering the open education movement. And based on the last development of the ODL system about the networking and network and connectivity model, and then developing a kind of MOOCs in order to expanding the reach and the access of the people. And one of the enabling factors will be, again, I think, ICT advancement. Yeah, there are big data and there are quite massive of the cloud systems. So how we can benefit from this kind of technology. And the ICT advancement is one of the enabling factors in order to offer MOOCs. And another enabling factor would be in some of the, ODL, open and distance learning movement, is the global open movement. There are three major innovations that we are currently undertaking. There's open source software, there are huge open source servers, and also there are quite many of the open applications, whether it's under Android, under iOS system, or under other platform. Another movement will be open contents. That was initiated by the UNESCO policy on open educational resources. And the last will be open license. Yes, the open license is, I think, is started by the Creative Commons and some of the GNU public license, and also the Mozilla public license. Currently, Coursera is the majority of the providers, because the Coursera courses accounted about 36% of the courses offered in MOOCs. And if you see on courses distributions, and quite many of the actually it's quite widespread of the courses along with the health, medicals, and art and design. So I think quite many of the course already been offered into the MOOCs. Yeah, if you look at another statistic on the development of the MOOCs, number of the MOOCs, just in the last 2 years, it's increased quite significant. Currently, we among the 5 major providers, there are about 2,500 courses already been put on a MOOCs. Again, but in terms of the access and on the features, I think there are a number of the that most of them are not free, but the lecturing is free, but sometimes they put some of the additional fee during the assessment or examinations. And again, if we look at on the statistic of the all of the enrollee, and about the most of them are over 30. That means actually it's not a fresh graduate high school. That means that people who involving attending the MOOCs is already been probably already been having first degree. And then another one would be this is part of the movement about the MOOCs. So there are quite many of the many varieties of MOOCs, and this is the convergence between the what we call as a face-to-face into the fully online kind of convergence, and quite many of the pedagogical approach offered by the MOOCs. And let's go for the existing MOOCs. So there are two types of different MOOCs currently offered among the providers: XMOOCs and the CMOOCs. CMOOCs basically is a apart from the connectivism movement, when there are quite many of the existing learning materials, and they are trying to connect the materials into one's pedagogical approach. This is yeah, and the basic, I think the basic principle of the MOOCs, actually the initial principle will be starting from the development of the OER. So in 2007, we do have kind of quite many of open educations and movement, and also open learning and education institutions have a commitment in opening up our education materials. So the OER is part of the initial stage in the birth of the MOOCs. And I think if we are looking at the OER, then we probably refer to the UNESCO declarations on open educational resources. And in the first MOOCs actually will be offered by the OER Open University. That was created by Wayne from the University of, I think, the University of Australia. And some of the initiator of the CMOOCs will be birthed I think in 2008. Would be is initiated by the George Simon and Stephen Dons, and I think these two gentlemen are right now still a prominent scholars in order to advocating the CMOOCs. And another part of the MOOCs will be offered by the Stanford, and this is the initial kind of the initial step of the birth on XMOOCs. We call it as XMOOCs because all of the process of the learning materials and process of the pedagogy is governed by the machine. This is XMOOCs. And the next, I think, XMOOCs is, if we compare between two, the XMOOCs will be highly structured, content-driven, and guided by the pre-recorded lectures, we usually call as video lectures, and automated. So it's covered because of the huge enrollee, then it's automated. And the next, I think this is the derivations of the MOOCs, because both of MOOCs are quite many of the university are quite reluctant to join between CMOOCs and XMOOCs, and this is part of the alternative of the MOOCs, and also the SPOC, small private and online courses, and others. Yeah, what is the impact on the higher education practices currently? I think we look at on some of the MOOCs that almost once in, it's quite, I think almost one in a month that courses offered into MOOCs by university. Then if we look at on a statistic previously, that within 2 years, it's almost 2,500 courses offered online. And I think so, sorry. Yeah, this is the New York Times. And this part of the major MOOCs offered in FutureLearn, edX, and Coursera. Yeah, in a Coursera, I think they claim about 13 million Courserians enrolled in a Coursera and offer about 1,039 courses. And it has been very aggressive, and I think they claim about they have raised of $40 million instead of spending quite similar amount. This is the edX, it's non-profit, and 1,500 courses. And currently, edX also offered about 400,000 certificates granted, awarded to the enrollees. And the FutureLearn, managed by the Open University of British Open University, they enroll about 1.6 million people. So it's quite big numbers. And what is the way forward? We are lasting on, this is the challenges areas that we are still currently discussing during any education forums about the access and equity, and also about the quality and sustainability. And we'll tracing some of the issues about the benefits, the perceived benefits by the MOOCs providers. Some of the Georgia University and University of Wisconsin overcoming this, I think, the resource constraints. Overcoming the resource, because quite many of the university are currently what they call as having some additional students, and there are quite many of the university currently is also facing shortcut of the expertise. So this is one of the reasons on the MOOCs, and increase flexibility and also increase the global reach. Yeah. I think I'm skipping on this, and this is the sustainability of the MOOCs. In the future, I think there are quite many of the MOOCs provider will roll on their credentiality. So even the Coursera currently use, Udacity is using a nano degrees. So they give award certifications of the award as a nano degrees. Coursera specializations in analytics service. This is part of the certifications that has been awarded by the providers, and assuring the production quality and toward always on availability. This means self-pacing pedagogy, and quite many of the providers will adopt Open edX. Open edX is a open repository, open system platform for running the MOOCs. And the last would be as increasing sharing capabilities, reusing, remix, and repurpose. This is the ideas of the OER, Open Educational Resources. I think I'm last and if you look at on again, I recall for our questions where we are now, then I will be deciding we are now in this phase. So we do have a multiple platform format and pedagogic approaches, and we are going to move forward into the collaborative, standardized, affordable, and highly structured and standardized in the future. I think I just want to show you about our MOOCs programs, Universitas Terbuka MOOCs. We are offering, the reason actually we are offering the MOOCs is about, we currently is the highest number of the access internet in the regions, in the ASEANs. And we do have around predicted 93.4 million people who are accessing internet in year 2005. And this is our biggest problem actually in our work qualifications. almost about 70% of our work qualifications is under the degree. Most of them are high school graduates. And this is our open educational resources that we do have about hundreds of thousands materials offering in this platform. And we do also have open courseware and also MOOCs. We are offering about 18 courses currently, and we have around 4,000 enrollments. And in the next August, we are also offering this MOOCs funded by the UNESCO on Asian studies. I think so. Thank you.